Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Being from one of India's elite boarding schools, be it Mayo, Doon or Sanawar, is a lifelong accessory. With the access and the exposure that students receive, it becomes a solid LinkedIn network in and of itself. But these schools are now being forced to juggle the rise of a new elite. Schools that are more conveniently located and have international curriculums. And they're schools that are supposedly more adept at helping their students go abroad. There's a certain allure that surrounds boarding schools in India. They have incredible campuses, colonial-era buildings, and massive sports grounds. And they're supposed to supposedly build character. There's focus on holistic development, on sports, and on extracurriculars. Students aren't one-trick ponies. But in this age of helicopter parenting, parents have different priorities. They want to exert control on their children and they want them to excel. The understated wealth seen in the likes of Doon, Mayo, and also needs to compete against the flash and the flamboyance of the new schools. This is not to say that the older boarding schools aren't trying to adapt, such as by offering the Cambridge curriculum, but they're also okay with resting on laurels. Last September, without much warning, Doon randomly stopped offering the IB diploma. And what's given them their reputation are old world charms and symbols of wealth. Mayo has 50 horses on campus and students are trained to play polo matches and partake in all kinds of equestrian events. There's also a long list of illustrious alumni. Political dynasties like the Gandhis and the Scindias have been educated at Doon. In 2018, when Kamal Nath became the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he became one of 3 DOSCO Chief Ministers. Writers Amitav Ghosh and Vikram Seth also went to the school. Effectively, what used to happen was that multiple generations of certain families attended these boarding schools. This is changing, but not entirely. At Mayo, 10% of students are children of alumni. Earlier, there were far more. The schools aren't as elite as they used to be. There are more students from smaller towns. Sanawar now has students from places like Karnal and Panipat, while earlier there'd be more from bigger Tier 1 cities. About 15 to 20 years ago, the quality of education at Mayo had allegedly declined. An alumnus of the school described the scene as consisting of fights breaking out all the time and everyone speaking in Hindi. This has now apparently been amended, and what really works in favor of these schools is the alumni network. There are events, football matches, and all kinds of merchandise. Because of the kinds of people that have graduated from these schools, students and younger alumni have access to professionals at the top of their game. It's a rare form of social currency. Alumni meetings aren't just for exchanging memories, they're solid opportunities to network. Even as notions of what is considered elite change, this mix of nostalgia and networking will continue to work in their favor. Doon being one of them, is that we have multiple generations of the same family attending this school. So why does this happen? Because again, this is not something that we see in day schools, and especially today when there are so many options for very good schools out there. So why does this happen even today?
Very interesting. It's the father would always like his son to go to the same school, to the extent have the same roll number, be in the same house. Boarding schools have the concept of houses. Doon School has 5 houses as of now. And that's a thing which is generational, carries on. Why it happens is probably the father, the parents feel it's a good thing and our son should, or depending on a boarding school, if it's girl, then our child should experience the same culture, the same, let's say, friendship, or the same experience which they've had. And the schools become better over time, as in terms of infrastructure and as in terms of, I would say, what's being taught. So I guess that's what drives the generation to send their children to school. And as of now in school, if you see, we have 3rd generation children coming in the Doon School now, whose sons, their grandfathers were students in school in the 40s, in the 30s. So I think that's why they like to continue that legacy and that tradition. Also, they understand, more importantly, that when the grandfather got out of school or the son got out of school, he was part of the alumni network. In our case, the part of the Doon School Old Boys Society. And then they see how the network or the alumni society helps them connect. It's part of a bond, helps them just, have someone around you, which is more important. It's like a family. So I guess they want their son to also be a part of that, get that experience and benefit from it.
So one of the major selling points of Doon and of any of these older boarding schools, but I think Doon especially, is the alumni network, because what people say is that it's a very, it's a mature network, and it's a network that goes back decades, and it's also seen as a network that kind of even rivals the network of like an Ivy League school. Like that's the point of comparison people make. So, could you just explain how the alumni network works in terms of the scale?
So, our society started in 1936, and the whole premise behind that was, at that time, Mr. E. Foote started the society. He was the first headmaster of the Doon School. And his, one of the founding, I would say, not exactly commandments, but his whole idea of having old boys society is that, well, he was from Eton and he had seen in England the culture. So to get that, to develop bonhomie, camaraderie, to work for the old boys, help them beyond school, have a family beyond school. So he kind of formulated it. We had the first meeting in 1939. We formed the society. And going forward, today we have close to 6,000 old boys globally. And a lot of interesting stories, come out of that. A lot of interesting stories of old boys helping old boys, standing up for each other, for jobs, or if person's in a personal medical situation or anything. We did a lot of work during COVID with everyone, even the old boys, and with the government and everything. And the scale helps us kind of get that potential on the ground, because, the old boys trust the society. They know it will work. They know it can deliver. And it's transparent. And more importantly, what you have on the ground is a dedicated and selfless team of the executive and the vice president of the society working, because it's all voluntary, and there's no money involved for anyone. What we do because we want to do. We want to do for the school. We want to do for the society. We want to do for each other. So that helps us connect and just foster friendship. And once you have trust and friendship, I think the rest just follows.
So, you had mentioned earlier that old boys they want their children to have the alumni network experience. So would that be one of the primary reasons, one of the key reasons also that people are still sending their kids to school, why it still is such an elite school, so to speak?
Well, I don't know if it's an elite school, but it's just that I think it's a lot of hard work which we see, which has gone into the society. Just to give you a background, over the years, I would say every president of the Old Boys Society has contributed in building it. Everyone comes with his own fire, his own vision. And rather than leave a legacy, because the president is president for 2 years, I think more than that, he just brings a way forward. The person before me, the person before him, he adds something. It's like building blocks. We have those Legos. So you just keep adding and building the house and making it better. So that is something which kind of puts the father like, okay, I've got to give him that experience. I've got to get him into that alumni. It'll help him. I'll give you a story like how alumni help. I still remember there was this boy in Los Angeles and he had gone into a job fair. and he was talking to a potential employer, and of course he was qualified. I'm not saying he was not qualified, but and they got talking, and it turned out he was from the Doon school, the employer, and so was this boy who was looking for an internship, and he got hired. So, well, of course, he didn't disappoint his employer. That's important. But, this is that experience which the parents looks for.
Yeah.
As of now, as a alumni, we are helping the school in a mentorship program where we kind of dwell upon our experiences, may it be in industry, be in medicine, media, anything. So there are boys in school who are interested in a variety of subjects, fields, finance. And it's just a casual interaction. We kind of guide them, help them. And that is something unique to us. So that's how we take it forward, how the alumni helps each other. So I guess that's what everyone looks for. A bit of hand-holding, a bit of guidance, just to help you walk the path.
After I left school, I did my higher education and then joined the army, where I spent nearly 4 decades. After completing the service, in January 2015, I came back to serve my school as the director. I came back for the love of my school, and our management was kind enough to give me the chance to lead the school for nearly a decade. When our school began in 1875, it had a concept of holistic education in which academics, co-curriculars and sports were all given due importance. We have persisted with that model, which in fact has come into fashion currently in all other schools. What has changed in our school was the kind of students who were given entry. Till independence, admission was given to the princes and noblemen and their families of Rajasthan and other states. After independence, in 1947, we became an egalitarian school in which children from all parts of the country and overseas, and parents with all kinds of profession and businesses were encouraged to send their children to Mayo College. This diversity has added great value to the exposure we give to our children and to make them adaptable and ready to not only face the world in India, but globally, where they can go and become leaders for tomorrow.
I think what Mayo offered was what we're talking about now in terms of whole child development. The system is set up for whole child development. The skills that we are talking about today, which demand to be taught, whether it's collaboration, whether it's empathy, whether it's problem solving on your own, I think boarding schools set you up for that. And perhaps the most important aspect of boarding school education is this idea to be able to deal with your own emotions in their ups and downs. Of course, you've got friends, but the parent is not there. And so you learn to navigate amongst your peers and solve for, your ups and downs, and really build resilience over a period of time. So that's what really sets boarding schools apart. Of course, I also went to a premier school where, the kind of facilities we had in terms of just the sports space for outdoors. I wouldn't even say sports, right? Just this campus, and a campus always gives you a sense of community, a sense of space, a sense of the outdoors, which is beyond a building. So been very, very fortunate to do that. What makes the alumni network very powerful? See, alumni are folks that went to schools with you. So there is a certain shared memory, right? So when you go out into the world, you are part of that shared memory. And there is an implicit trust that you've had the similar experience, and that you tend to support somebody where you know their ability to deal with the situation, right? So if somebody from the alumni network reaches out to me, I know they'll have a certain work ethic. They will reach out to me even though I'm not from their batch, and they'll be able to navigate a situation in which they're asking for support. There's also just mentorship and community, right? I mean, sometimes you don't find friends within your own batch, but the alumni is a wider network which allows you to find like-minded people who've had this shared background, possibly not your age, but shared background. Do I still remain connected with school? Absolutely. In fact, with women, a friend of mine who's an alumni and very active was mentioning, sometimes we tend to lose touch with our friends. We get consumed by our responsibilities as an adult, as somebody raising a family, as somebody looking after aging parents, as somebody managing a high-performance professional career. But we stay in touch because the level of well-being and support that an old network, a school network, an alumni network can offer you is completely unparalleled. So I absolutely stay in touch. It's not from a contribution to the network so much as to what I have to gain. It's a wonderful community, and the benefit is disproportionate in my favor. So yes, I absolutely stay in touch.
This is Antara Barua for ThePrint. Please follow us on our social media channels.